Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Rumors of Heresy. My name is Zareth, and I've got another battle report for you today. We're facing Tyranids. This is round 2 of the Rocky Mountain Open. You can find the last game linked in the video description if you're interested. And we're facing Tyranids, folks. It's our old friend, the Hive Mind. It's gonna be a good time. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment, do all that mounting algorithm stuff, please, folks. Really appreciate it. So, yeah, this is the Rocky Mountain Open. It's the biggest event in our Denver area, 250 player GT. And you can see this is a picture of when it was getting set up. I don't know why I didn't take a picture of when it was being played on. That would have been a really good idea, but I didn't. And so instead I took a picture of my son and all the loot he got from helping to set it up, which is amazing. And really huge shout out to Frontline Gaming for hooking him up with all that stuff. So let's get into the lists here, folks. Here's the list that I brought. We're taking Salamanders in Gladius, and it's not just green Marines, it's actually Adrax and Vulkan. Guys, I'm so excited for the eventual release of a big Salamanders group or whatever they're doing for their release for Salamanders. Gonna be super awesome, and we're building toward that. But for now, we're playing Gladius, and the idea is just to be flexible. Gladius is the most flexible detachment out there, almost, with the option to fall back, shoot, charge, to advance and charge, to advance and shoot, all sorts of awesome stuff, but we're keeping a lot of that Salamanders flavor with Flamers, with Infernus, which are actually really good. They were kind of the MVP this tournament, in fact, for me. And then a bunch of vehicles that do a decent amount of damage. They're not overwhelming, but maybe it's an overwhelming number of vehicles. Who knows, folks? So that's what we've got in store today. This is round 2, like I said. So we're facing Tyranids, and I haven't actually played Tyranids for a while. For a while it seemed like that was the only faction I played, and now I play them not often. I think it's been months since I played them, but I'm pretty familiar with what they're doing. And this was an interesting list. They didn't have a lot of huge bugs. He's playing Invasion Fleet, and he's got a bunch of smaller bases, or more like mid-level bases. The Gene Stealers are smaller, but then the Von Ryan's Leapers, the Warriors, all of those they're decent. And then the Norn Emissaries, double Norn is really tough to overcome because they're OC-15 on an objective that they choose, and they're tough to kill. They're really tough to kill. So it's gonna be an interesting fight. I haven't faced Tyranids for a while, and I've certainly not faced them with this version of Salamanders that I'm playing, so I'm excited. Have you ever found yourself loving the game Warhammer 40k, but maybe loving the time you spend with a paintbrush a little less, or maybe a lot less? You wish that you had really nice looking models, but you know it costs way too much to pay someone to do it. Well, I found myself in that situation basically forever. I used to paint my models a long time ago, and then suddenly my life got super busy, and now I just use Frog and Bear Studio exclusively. They do such a good job on my models. I don't really know why I would look elsewhere. He charges a very competitive price. He does a great job. And folks, I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you, I get complimented on how nice of an army I have all the time. Several times every tournament. And of course, I just kick it back to him. I'm not going to take credit for it personally. But guys, this is an amazing studio, and you should check it out. And right now, the proprietor of Frog and Bears is running a deal, which is really good price comparative to other commission painting services. He's offering to paint any monster or vehicle out there for $50. Go look at the high quality level of any studio painting place and find a place that's going to charge you $50 for a monster or vehicle. You just won't find it, folks. Maybe you'll find it for a really low level quality thing, but guys, this is high level stuff. It is amazing. And for this entire spring, this deal is open. 50 bucks on any or all monsters and vehicles, guys. Do yourself a favor. He does a fantastic job. Tell him Zareth sent you, please. Go follow him on Instagram or just hit him up on Discord. You can find his information in either the video description, or you can actually see the things listed on this graphic as well. Guys, do yourself a favor. Seriously, go check him out. All right, here's our deployment. Once again, search and destroy. That's going to be the deployment for all first 3 rounds of the tournament, and that's just basically table quarters, guys. So we don't. It's the one that's the toughest to get to our natural expansion objective, which is this one for me and this one for him. Now here, I'll show you with words what we're deploying. Lots of things in reserves for me as usual. 10 jump back intercessors in Storm Speeder Hammer Strike, in Deep Strike, and then in Furnace Marines, Predator Destructor, and Ballistus Dreadnought, all in strat reserves. And then you can see the Combi Lieutenants there ready to just walk on and grab this objective here. That's going to also be Vulkan's objective that makes him OC10. He's kind of like a mini Norn in a lot of ways. And then Predator Destructor, he's just gonna vroom over to this side and try to get some good firing lanes. And really, just pretty standard deployment for me, guys. Intercessors here just towing onto the objective so that when the turn starts for me, it's immediately stickied. And the Impulsor with Blade Guard, we can afford to be a little bit patient with it, so it's just going to eventually go into this little nook. It takes about 2 turns to do that, regardless of how I roll for my advances, because that squad and Impulsor is definitely available for late game. Usually is what we're trying for. So here's what I tried to fit all of the Tyranid stuff in with that bigger overlay the way I had for my own, and it just didn't work, guys. It was just way too smashed. So you see he has a Tyrannifex and a Norn. Really interesting, he selected my expansion objective for his Norn up top here, folks. He said he was switching it up. He's gonna do that. So that was really interesting. Then this Norn over here, it selected the expansion objective for himself. So nothing in the center, which I just thought was really interesting. Wasn't expecting that at all. A couple Exocrines, these are the guys who shoot pretty well, but they don't have an invuln save, so they can be a little easy to take out. The Nero Tyrant, of course, if he does Shadows in the Warp, it's going, while the Nero Tyrant is alive, it's going to be a little bit more painful because I fail on one. I have to add 1 to every result. Biovore, of course, just hanging out on the objective here, and then a Tyrant that is just gonna kind of stay in this nook for most of the game. And then Gene Stealers. He had some Warriors with the Prime. I don't think I actually noted it here, guys. He has Warriors in reserve, and he has a squad of Von Ryan Leapers in reserve as well, strat reserve as well. So good times. I think he also has a squad of Von Ryan's Leapers in here. Yeah, you can see the little tentacles or antenna or whatever they are here. So that's about it, folks. He's gonna get on his expansion objective. We're gonna sprint for our expansion objective and see how things go. Now, I ended up getting first turn again, which I don't like going first in any of these missions. Going second on Scorched Earth is just so nice because you always get to burn your objective at some point. You can always get that extra 5-point boost. So going first, we have to be a little more aggressive and see what we can do. Well, I kind of hate Norns. They are so frustrating to kill at toughness 11, and a whole buttload of wounds, and they have a 4-up feel no pain, 5-up feel no pain, a 4-up invuln save, and a 2-up regular save. They're very tough to chew through, and their OC-15, which is so challenging to casually contest. You can't just throw like a couple of models on the objective. You have to put a significant amount of force on there, and so Norns are not great for what we're doing here, but there's a couple good things here. First off, there's only one gun that's really scary. Like, sure, there are other things in the list that can do interesting stuff to tanks, but really that Rupture Cannon on the Tyrannifex is the only one I truly fear. They have to otherwise roll really well to be able to take out one of my vehicles with their shooting, and whereas that can happen, is not as likely. Also, he doesn't have a ton of chaff positioned that strategically in the center. We can kind of just, if we can get rid of those gene stealers as early as possible, life is going to get a lot easier because everything else is positioned in, like kind of out of the way. And if we can get some way to leverage that center objective into burning, into setting it on fire, that's gonna go a long way toward making this fight more palatable. So let's go. All right, so we get Assassination and Secure No Man's Land. Assassination is just gonna get pitched for CP at this point. There's just no characters available here, but Secure No Man's Land, that's a good one, even if it escalates things just a little bit. So you can see what we're doing here in terms of we've moved all of our scouting stuff into the middle, his gene stealers, my incursors, and scouts and everything. And so the idea here, folks, in the planning period on this one, we're just going to secure no man's land, so we got to tow out onto this objective here, and that's about it. We don't have any good shooting targets. This is kind of, in a way, people have called this the redeployment turn, and I kind of like the idea of that. The idea, though, for me is we need to get Vulkan Squad as close to this objective as possible because his Norn is right here. It's going to be headed to this objective as soon as possible. And the interesting thing is that Vulkan, with his fully intact squad, is actually more OC than a Norn. It's just, it's unlikely that all of them live to be able to do that, frankly. So, but the Norn's going to have to go through quite a bit just to get to that expansion objective. I think this was a little bit of a mistake on my opponent's part, not to throw shade at him. I just think that's a long way to get there, folks, especially against a shooty army like mine. So, otherwise, we want to get our guys available to do some stuff. Move the ballistas out a little bit this time. Just make sure that none of the stuff we have is available for that Tyrannifex to shoot on his turn, and we're gonna be good. So here's what we ended up doing. The ballistas did move out just a little bit, just so that he can't see anything. Kept the Predator right here, just because if it goes up to this little blocker piece of terrain, he'll still have a pretty perfect line of sight from his Tyrannifex. Like, no matter where the tank goes, he's just gonna have some kind of line of sight to me, and I don't want that. That's not what the doctor ordered. That's not what we want. Also got the intercessors off of the objective now that it's sticky, and of course this tank vroomed over here just to get some good line of sight. Vulkan and company, I think they rolled a 5 or a 6. They didn't get onto the objective, but they're close, and honestly my opponent doesn't have any models that can really threaten that objective anyways, so we should be good to go. Let's pass it over to him and see what we can do. So secure no man's land, we score. You can see the scout is towing into the zone here, and the combi lieutenant is towing in on this objective, and that's basically what we've got. My opponent got area denial and engage on all fronts, which engage on all fronts on turn 1 is a little bit tricky to do. He can do it though. So the idea, of course, is he has gene stealers. He can go get area denial, but we have enough guys just kind of loaded into this building that we could probably stop the gene stealers from charging us if we do a reactive move with the scouts. Probably want to do that, and then his gene stealers will be out in the open. They'll score an area denial for 2 instead of for 5 because my guys are within 6 inches of the center. They're not within 3 inches of the center, and that'll be it. And then otherwise, let's just see what else he's got cooking, shall we? So essentially that he's got his warriors that he moved up into the Gene Stealer spot. Gene Stealers come up here and try to intimidate the scouts, but the scouts can't be intimidated. They won't be, and so they reactive move and get back into formation so that the Gene Stealers can't charge them through the walls 1 inch away, of course. He's got the Norn over here. He's kind of getting ready to make his sprint for it. His other Norn is getting close to this objective here, and the Gene Stealers are getting close here. The Von Ryan's Leapers are over here. He still has a squad of Von Ryan's Leapers and warriors in reserves. And then otherwise, everything kind of stayed a little bit stationary. He's just clearly waiting to see what I'm going to do. So at the end of it, he gets 2 for area denial. He gets Baby engage on all fronts. I don't remember what thing got into my into a different objective or into a different place on the board to be able to give him engage in all fronts, but that's fine. He's got 4, I've got 5, and we're all positioning now. We're kind of playing it a little bit cagey. So I roll Bring It Down and Establish Locus, which they're all right. They're tough to make work, I guess. Bring It Down is especially tough to make work in this turn, though. We do have a target in the Norn. Maybe we can get, maybe we can take him down. Who knows? Well, we still don't have that many targets, but I kind of like him being a little passive there and not moving into anything crazy because, honestly, some of the most challenging games I've faced Tyranids on are games where they apply a ton of pressure. It just doesn't have the things to be able to pressure the center that a lot of Tyranid lists do, and so I'm kind of fine with just playing it cagey. That kind of benefits me. Let's kill those Gene Stealers in the middle and get some wounds on that Norn, who he's gonna have to spend CP to give him Feel No Pain because he's not on that objective, so he's just going to take whatever damage we can throw at him. We don't really have enough vehicles to really truly put a ton of hurt on the Norn unless we get really lucky, but we do have enough to mess with him. And those Gene Stealers are, maybe they're not easy to kill, but they're not that tough either. So let's get some damage on that Norn before it gets on an objective and kill the Gene Stealers and just see where the game takes us. All right, Bring It Down, Establish Locus. Powerhouse strats or secondaries if ever I have heard of them. So we've got Gene Stealers in the center. He's got the Norn up here. Let's see what kind of a dent we can make in these guys. And then there's warriors here. We also need to screen a little bit. I didn't talk about that just now on the previous screen, but we do need to screen over here because he's got warriors. He's got Von Ryan's Leapers, and whereas those aren't powerhouse units really. The warriors can do some decent damage. We don't want them to be like right here in our center, or right in the center, like being able to threaten this part of the board. We don't want them threatening our home objective at all. We want them way back here by his own objective, and we're just the whole thing here, guys, is going to be contained. We just want to keep them in their corner, right? Like keep them in their half. Like we can have our half, they can have their half, until we want to take some of their half, in which case they'd better move over. So that's what we're gonna do. Those Gene Stealers are encroaching in our territory. How dare they? Let's take them out. He's got the Norn here that can mess with us. He can make a run for this objective. Let's stop him if at all possible. So we do just that. We get the Infernus Marines out because there's not too many targets for Infernus here on this board. There's not too many targets at all, so may as well use them to burninate those Gene Stealers, and they die. They die, and then I was able to get a few shots with the Predator, a few shots with this Ballistus, just getting some damage in on the Norn. I have no idea how we took 1 point of damage on this Predator. That's actually, it's because he shot his Biovore on his last turn to right here, and he didn't want me to get reserves in, but I moved the Predator over anyways, just so that the Mortal would explode, so then I could bring in my reserves here with the other Infernus. Oh, and apparently that's it. That I didn't make another slide. So we have the Infernus right here on this thing, and I was able to kill one of his warriors, which was cool, but the biggest thing was we just don't want him to come into this awkward area right here. We want him to be way far back, if at all possible. And that's basically it. On his turn, he's got Bring It Down and Extend Battle Lines. Extend Battle Lines, really easy for him to get. Bring It Down has to kill tanks, and so, really, the question is, what's he going to do with his Norn? Because his Norn, we did get a few wounds on him. I think we took him to about half of his health. He could threaten the center objective, or he could threaten... it would be quite the run. He would have to advance with his Norn to get onto this objective, and I put all of Vulkan's squad on here if possible. I even have one guy out here on the objective in case he wants to charge or something, and if he moved within 9 inches, then I was going to reactive move and get the heck out of there. And he chose not to, though. He chose to be a little bit more straightforward. So the Norn, who was over here, moved in and charged the center objective, and so we charged the Infernus, and I decided to heroic intervene with the Ballistus because I was like, oh, you know what, that Norn isn't super high OC, we could hold this objective. Now this is foolish for a few different reasons. Number one, I don't need a third objective. This is Scorched Earth. You can only score 2 primary in the turn, and so the third one doesn't matter at the start of it. But I did have the Ballistus charge here, and it was fine, I guess. I didn't do any damage to it, but the one nice thing was it did deviate that Norn. Instead of hitting the Infernus Marines, which he kind of had wanted to, instead he hit the Ballistus, and whereas he didn't kill the Ballistus, he did do some hefty damage to it, but that meant the Infernus Marines were alive, which actually was really nice for the next part of our diabolical plan. Oh, here we go. We zoomed in even further. Oh, the Infernus on the bottom also died, I believe. I think they died a horrific death to Norn on the top there, but we stopped them from coming in where we didn't want them to, so that was something at least. And yeah, the middle we were fine. Oh, there we go. There they are, folks, or at least the little X's representing their corpses. Those poor bastards. I think this Exocrine shot them or something. I don't know. Maybe the Norn did it on his own. One way or another, these guys all died horrific, sad deaths, and that was basically it. Oh, the one other thing, folks, it's his turn too. So I used not heroic intervention. I used rapid ingress on the jump intercessors here, and they're a little farther back than I had wanted them to be. You can see the Tyrannifex moved up to cover where the Norn was, and the Norn moved into the center, and so I didn't have a wonderful rapid ingress location, but this is an okay place. Like, they can threaten the center objective, or potentially even threaten the back if we really wanted to, or we could charge the Tyrannifex. At this point, I just wanted them here so that we could position them in a way that was going to threaten my opponent a little bit. So he scored Extend Battle Lines for 5. I only got Established Locus for 2, so he's ahead at this point. He's ahead by 2, but we do have bottom of turn. No, we don't. We have top of turn. This is terrible, folks. So I get Engage on all fronts and Marked for Death. I think Marked for Death was after I spent a CP to redraw from behind enemy lines. So Engage on all fronts, Marked for Death, not the very best. Those are actually fairly rough. Well, this is probably the most important turn in the game, folks. If we can kill that Norn in the middle, and we can kind of do other things that I'll show you guys that were in the plan, if we can make all those things happen, we can maybe crack this open and burn that center objective, which would be so nice, because then there's no reason for anyone to go in the center anymore, except for maybe like area denial or something, and he's already done that one. So if we can just burn that center one, seems kind of good. And so this is probably the most important turn of the game, frankly. But there's just probably not a ton of stuff we got to do. I don't know. We just got to get aggressive, tie things up, kill some stuff, and see where it goes from there. We're not getting against secondaries here, folks. Engage on all fronts, march for death. Pretty dang ugly. So we got to kill this Norn. I went into Devastator Doctrine here, folks, because we want to be able to add AP to our shots if we need to, or at least be able to advance and shoot. We need to be able to just use Devastator Doctrine, advance and shoot. That's what we're going for. That's the final answer, I suppose. And so let's do it to it, shall we? So he's got these warriors here with the prime that he rapid ingressed, and the real reason we wanted to go into Devastator Doctrine, folks, is we brought in this extra tank, our Predator here, and he had his warriors over here, and you can see. Well, let's not skip ahead. I think I showcased that. So he did rapid ingress his warriors and prime back here, but that's a great place for them. Honestly, that is wonderful, because they're not threatening anything from way back here. They're just like, his Norn is already on here. What are we gonna do? Kill that Norn? We're not gonna kill that Norn. That Norn, that objective is safe. He just gets that objective. The whole game, he gets that objective, but we don't want him to be excited about that and then want more. We just want him to keep holding this objective and just keep him pinned up here. I think that's the goal. Like, have your half, and I'll have my half, and maybe have the center too, because I'm greedy like that. And so the fact that he brought his warriors back here with his prime, that's wonderful. Even though that poor Predator is probably going to die, he's mismatched color-wise anyways. So anyways, the tank does come in, and we want to kill the warriors in prime over here. And so but we don't want to use the moment on him. So we put him in Devastator Doctrine here, and then we give him that thing that lets him ignore cover and get AP1 on his stuff. So it's AP3 shooting at these guys since they're infantry, and with the autocannon, and we just disintegrate that squad. They just die. It's horrific. It's sad. It's Starship Troopers all over again. It's wonderful, actually. Now that I think of it, it's utopia. And then we also, I forget all the things, all the shooting that went into it, but we got the Norn. The Norn died. It was wonderful. Because the Norn died, even though the Norn was in engagement range of the Infernus Marines and of the Ballistas, the Infernus Marines immediately did the burning action on the objective, because they're still on the objective. No one's contesting it. And so at the end of his turn, if he can't contest it with something, then we'll be able to burn that sucker. We also, I did bring in the speeder here so that we could strip cover on the Norn. And then the Incursors went on a crazy mission of vengeance and bloodshed, folks. They went over here and charged the Tyrannifex. They tried to use the Haywire Mine. Haywire Mine did not work, but they charged the Tyrannifex anyways. I think they might have done a wound to it, because they have combat knives, and that is scary. And the Tyrannifex is just not good at melee. And his Tyrant is back here behind a wall, which he can't charge through, so he can't heroic intervene. And so I just want to tie that Tyrannifex up. We don't want the Tyrannifex to be doing stuff. We want it to be right there forever. Or if he wants to back off and like move backwards or forwards or something, like we've got lots of things we can do to him. So we just want to hold everything back. My shooting into this Exocrine, we didn't quite kill it, so the Exocrine could maybe stop us from burning. But if they do that, first off, we could maybe just shoot it with Overwatch. Probably not, but it's down to like 3 wounds or something. So we could, if it gets onto this objective, we still have a decent chance of just burning it anyways, because we've got a tank on there and a bunch of Infernus, and we could maybe do reactive moves onto here depending on what he chooses to do. So Oh, and look at that. The incursors get their own screenshot. What heroes charging a Tyrannifex that is largely toothless. Doesn't really do that much. Oh yeah, so we're burning the objective, and then we have the jump intercessors here in the center. They're not actually on the top, of course. They're just loaded into this building, and there's nothing that can really charge them, so they're just smashed in like sardines. And the idea is, next turn, we're going to go big. We're going to go big with them next turn. So let's just smash them in and get ready. Do they want to live forever? That's what Johnny Rico's asking them right now, folks. So that was it. That's what it looks like. We didn't kill that much. We killed a Norn, though, which is nice. That's hard to ignore. And we got those warriors with the Prime. Of course, he's got another squad here, but now I think he's got everything in as well at this point. I think he had some Von Ryan Leapers come in, so he's screening the back zone pretty good. We can't get in anything, but at this point we can frontal assault. It's fine. So he gets Cull the Horde and secure no man's land, and so I was like, okay, no, you can't score Cull on me, and he was like, well, you have those jump pack intercessors. I have to, and I tried to tell him a couple times, and he was like, no, dude. That's how the rule is. I don't want to cheat. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Feel free to keep Cull the Horde. So we did. He can score it on me, but he kept it. So secure no man's land is also a really good one for him, of course, though it's going to be tough to get into that center objective. And so he ended up not going for it with the Exocrine. Instead, you can see he just stood there. The Tyrannifex stood there, and they did shoot the Ballistus. And here, I think we actually, first off, yeah, we've got the warriors in the Prime charged this Predator, and I'm not mad about it. I did roll really bad. I gave him Armor of Contempt, actually. I thought I had a pretty decent chance of surviving, and I ended up rolling pretty poorly, and the tank died. It was surprising. In fact, it was like, wow, I'm surprised, kind of thing. The Ballistus also, it was almost dead anyways because of the fight with the Norn, and I think the Tyrannifex shot and killed it because it did stand still, even though it's engaged. It's still hitting on 3s. So, and one of the Exocrines shot at it to give him reroll 1s to hit, and it did kill the thing. And he did shoot the Infernus. The Infernus ended up living, however, with a couple of them, which was exciting. It was very, very, very exciting, which means that objective just gets burned now, guys. It's gone, and I get 5 primary for it as well. So you can see one of the things we forgot to score his 10 here. So I don't know. I don't know what happened there. He should have gotten it. Apparently I didn't count it when I was doing things, but somehow we still had the same score because we checked every turn. So I don't know what 10 he gave himself, or like didn't give himself, but one way or another. So I got the 4 on engage on all fronts, surprisingly, but marked for death, yeah, and behind enemy lines got pitched. And so we're not getting good secondaries, but maybe now that we're out of assassination, marked for death, and behind enemy lines, and bring it down, we get an established locus and engage on all fronts. We can finally get a couple that are actually going to be good. And he only got secure no man's land for 2 because he holds his expansion objective but doesn't hold the center. And in fact, the center burns this turn, which is exciting, folks. For my turn 4, Area Denial and Storm Hostile, which is interesting because Area Denial doesn't rely on that center objective. It just relies on the center of the board, and he doesn't have anyone within 6 inches of it. So we could just take that one. And then the Storm Hostile is interesting because we can't really take this objective, right? That's not an option. Like, there's the Norn was 15, and then he's got all those warriors, and he's got Ron Ryan's Leapers, and it is totally just a scene from Starship Troopers, guys. We can't do that, but we have a more interesting prospect available. We could maybe take his home objective, where his brain bug lives. Woo! We can do it though, actually, because this Exocrine is almost dead. We can almost we can use the Exocrine as a springboard, folks. We can have the jump intercessors. So we go into Assault Doctrine and have the jump intercessors jump over here and charge the Exocrine, killing it with impact mortals and consolidating onto the objective. And he's got his prime over here, but he's not close enough for heroic intervention, and so all he's got is the Biovore. So all we need is a couple guys on the objective, and we're able to just take it from our opponent, getting Storm hostile. Here, check it out here, folks. Check it out. So yeah, this is the photo of what happened at the end, toward the end of the round. So this poor group of warriors got just totally slagged by the Predator, which was great. It's just wonderful when that happens. And then up here, apparently we've been doing damage to the Tyranids, and I didn't have that many things to shoot at otherwise. Like I was like, oh well, let's use the speeder, and we can use the tank. And I think the tank ended up tank shocking the Tyranids and killing it. I think that was the final straw. That's what killed the Tyranids. So we killed it. We still have an Incursor alive with 1 wound left. Look at that hero. And so yeah, the jump intercessors charge and kill that Exocrine, getting onto the objective and even engaging the Biovore, who does nothing to them, of course. And that gets us Storm hostile, which is exciting to say the least. And he's kind of just in disarray, guys. He's still got his Norn here. He can hold that forever for all I care. But the Tyranids is gone. The Exocrine here is gone. And we're just kind of, I mean, he's going to be able to kill the center, like all the jump intercessors, like that Tyrant's going to just come and wipe them out. With the Exocrine, like both of them, and the Nero Tyrant can come and mess with them. Like, there's no way these guys live unless he rolls really poorly. But you know, he's got Von Ryan's Leapers, he's got more Von Ryan's, like they're just dead. They are totally dead. But we stop him from scoring this turn on this objective, which is really nice. We get Storm hostile objective, and at that point, you can see the objective down here is just gone as well, because we burninated it. And I mean, we've mostly been able to just get what we want in this game. So he gets behind enemy lines, which he can't do anything with. He doesn't want to spend the CP to get rid of it. He gets Sabotage, which he'll get pretty easily if he wants to. And I mean, at that point, we just basically called it, folks, because you can see I scored 15 on the Scorched Earth for burninating that objective. I ended up getting Area Denial and Storm Hostile for 9 that turn. He got Sabotage behind. I forget what we said. I think we said he could just shoot a Biovore mine into my behind enemy lines, which is probably true. So we got that one. And then we just basically, like, let's roll and just let's just see what missions we get, because the game's basically over. So I got Extend Battle Lines and no Priz. I didn't get the max no Priz, but I was able to set my own expansion objective on fire. He, of course, with bottom of turn, set his own expansion objective on fire. Got Defense Stronghold, got Recover Assets, and we called it good there, folks. 89 to 63. And that was basically it, folks. I should say 73 actually, because of that 10 that we missed on turn 3. But I don't know. Like, when we compared scores, he's like, "Oh yeah, that's what I got too." So I don't know. Maybe it's probably my fault on some levels, the record keeping, but that wouldn't have stopped. 73. I mean, it's a pretty healthy win considering we had to go first, and Norns are really difficult to deal with. I'm happy enough with this, honestly, folks. So, what did we learn here, folks? Screening probably made this one work the best for me. Keeping him away on the bottom zone was really important. Like, just keeping those warriors away, and just being able to delete the things that got too close to the center from my own flanks, because if we're screening, it does two things. It keeps him away, and it also keeps like a bubble for our own reserves to come in and keep adding pressure to it. So just, you know, we wasted those Infernus Marines, or it kind of felt like it. They just only killed one warrior, but that was worth it, because then he's not way down my lines. He's contained where it took to where he needed to be able to kill the Infernus. And then I was able to push more stuff in and just be able to access that center, get a good angle on his other stuff in the middle. And you know, screening helps, guys. It does. I'm still getting the hang of it, of course, but that is a really important aspect to it. So not worrying constantly about my vehicles being destroyed was really important too. He just didn't have enough anti-tank stuff. Like, Tyranids can take a lot of stuff that's pretty fierce against tanks, but he just didn't have it this turn. And without a way to lose all my tanks right away, barring you know, somewhat unconscious miracle by his shooting, you can kind of act with more confidence on the board. Like, sure, the Tranifex can easily kill one vehicle a turn if he's rolling decently. Sure, one vehicle a turn is enough. I mean, that's acceptable, right? And that we were eventually able to just kill the Tranifex anyways. And only having one that we can just focus down and contain with incursors, pretty good, pretty good. And then you know, my opponent, it kind of, I don't know, to me this game doesn't seem that I don't know, it doesn't seem that flattering to my opponent, if I'm being honest. Like, just watching it and seeing like some of the stuff we were able to do, like I just, he was a good dude, and honestly he ended up playing pretty well this tournament. I think this game he was a little bit surprised with how aggressive I was with my Marines, and I just don't think he was that prepared for what I was trying to do, which, I mean, it's not like I play that aggressive anyways, but I needed to play a little aggressive, and, you know, I put a lot of pressure on a lot of different places, and yeah, he ended up going 3-3, so for the rest of the tournament, he went 3-1, which is pretty good. So, you know, huge shout out to my opponent. He offered me a beer, and then the fairgrounds people were like, hey, you can't have outside beer here, and I felt bad for him, but anyways, this is a good match. My opponent was a good dude, and ended up being a good game. So yeah, good game. As for the tournaments that I'm going to next, folks, of course, we're still making 4 more battle reports from the Rocky Mountain Open and the quest to get 5-1. But after that, we have, in a couple weeks, I think I'm going to go to the Sandia Slaughter GT in Albuquerque. So that'll be exciting. You know, I'm excited for that. And then I'll be playing in a team tournament at the end of May with a really strong team. They won the last team tournament, so I'm excited to play there. And I think they just shook things up so that I could play Marines there. So we'll see if we take Salamanders, or maybe because it's a team event, I take the strongest thing available to me, which is probably Ultramarines. We'll just have to see. But one way or another, folks, I'm also working on a Stormlands list with Salamanders. Am I going to be the only person ever to play a Salamander Stormlands list? Stay tuned, folks. I'm going to test it tomorrow, though that report won't be out for a week or two, probably. Come join the Discord server, and if it's found in the video description, if you're interested in how I do there, hit me up on the Discord server and ask, and I'll let you guys know my thoughts on it. So that's it, folks. Go check out the Frog and Bear Studio in the video description. Do yourselves a favor, go check that out. And otherwise, folks, stay tuned for the next one. It's up against the new Custodes detachment. It's terrifying. It is absolutely insane. Guys, thank you so much for watching. And remember that if you didn't hear it from me, it's probably heresy. Take care, folks.